Welcome all. Good afternoon. Thank you for being here. I'm Lois Schmidt. Just a tiny little bit about myself. What's she doing in front of the room? Who's Lois Schmidt? I work for Project Turnabout, an addiction recovery center, one of the largest in the upper Midwest, based in Granite Falls. Many of you know that. What you might not know is we have 150 employees, so a significant workforce in the scheme of Southwest Minnesota. Many of them medical staff. So the conversation, the topic that's going on here today, just know that as a specialty care provider, we're among those who definitely has a stake in the discussion as well. Beyond that, Pat has asked me to undertake the task of facilitating the discussion today, and what that means is just I give the students the voice, the employers the voice in the room. Certainly our panel, the folks in the front of the room, I call them panelists. It's really not like that. It's you folks are listening. You're in a listening role, and that's so precious and so highly revered in this setting. And then our partners flanking us, supporting us in the back of the room. And I want to say that we will introduce each of you as we have time. I think those of you who know that when we did this last year, this is a situation where it's flipped a little bit. It's that the students are in the spotlight and we want to give the majority of time there, and the partners, make no mistake, we want everyone in the room, in the audience, to understand this couldn't happen without you. You are critical to the success of this partnership. And a lot of this is about you today, and I know that's why you stand in support of us. So our listeners here today are Representative Joe Schumacher. Thank you for being here. I'll let you talk about your role and your interest in this, and also representatives from the Southwest Initiative Foundation who are here very understandably and very appropriately as a role with understanding the importance of economic development and workforce development and regional vitality. So I warned them that just to warm up their voices and their listening ears along with, just give us a little hi. Joe.
Well, hi. Thanks for having me here today. I'm Joe Schumacher, state representative for the area just south of here, all the way down to the South Dakota and Iowa borders. I am interested in this area in particular because of my role as the chair of the Aging and Long-Term Care Committee in the Minnesota House. Workforce development is vital to trying to keep our care centers open, especially for our elderly disabled communities. And so trying to find the workforce that's going to be there is very difficult, and we're looking for different ways to try and reach out and provide the training that's needed. And Pat's come to my attention several times over the last few years, but most in particular in the last year to year and a half, about what the community centers can be doing for development and staff and for our future care providers. And so that's what I'm here to learn more about, what's working, what's not, what we can do to provide for better programs, and we'll go from there. So thank you.
Great. I'm Diana Anderson. I'm with the Southwest Initiative Foundation. Our administrative offices are in Hutchinson, but we serve the entire 18 counties of Southwest Minnesota. And we have a particular interest in workforce development, in community and economic development. And I'll tell you, everywhere I go, in every community I visit in Southwest Minnesota, we hear about the need for skilled employees in manufacturing, healthcare, science and technology. So I'm here because I actually had a chance to tour MA-TEC about a year ago and was just so incredibly impressed with what's happening here. And so really want to hear from you and learn more about it.
And I'm Nancy Foshing. I'm the Community Impact Director at the Southwest Initiative Foundation. About a little over 20 years ago, I was being trained as a CNA as well. My role now is in working with grant programs, but it was certainly a job that I really learned a lot from. And so I'm really grateful to get to hear about your stories and the things that the community can do to help support your success. So, thank you.
Thank you. We'll go until 2 o'clock will be the goal. If it's a little bit over, I understand that's okay, but definitely, you know, a goodly amount before 2:30 will adjourn, shall we say. I would also invite, again, as listeners, there might be, as the students share with us what this program and their training and this experience has been for them, to just, you know, interact with them. You know, I'll encourage to keep it brief as I need to, so that everyone gets a chance to tell their story. But please draw them out on pieces that you need more information on or have questions about. Let me just go a little bit further in helping us set the stage about the partners in the room, the students in the room. What are the key pieces about this program that we want to bring out and have in our heads by the time we end this hour? And I've asked, of course, Pat to help set the stage for that. Pat Thomas.
What I wanted to just really highlight here is this is the only career training in the state of Minnesota that does adult and youth together, because of the uniqueness of the partnerships that have been created here. Now, today, what is reflected, because you never know what's going to show up, is there are more youth here than adults that are in our CNA program. And that's because a lot of our adults are also co-enrolled in a grant program that is administered through the Private Industry Council. They're working on their TMA right now also. So they're trying to do both things.
I mean, you're meeting right now. That's what
Right now is the class. Like, not just sort of kind of like right now. And so what we have here is probably more youth than we do adults. These right here, of course, these are our CNA students. These two good-looking gentlemen, he's not bad too, but these two right here are from our welding program that Noe is the adult that's represented from there, and David is our youth that's there. And later, if you want to take a tour and take a look at the welding program, you're more than welcome to. What Marshall has done is they have gone with 2 career tracks, healthcare and welding. Definitely looking at expanding this as time goes forward to reflect what the needs are of this community. I can't stress enough how important the collaborative relationship is with the workforce, with Minnesota West, Southwest, South Central Co-op, the Marshall Public School. All of it is so very critical to making it possible. But the one thing that's really critical is our employers. Now, today we only have one employer. That's that good-looking one right there. But she comes from Boulder Estates, but we have Avera and Heritage Point also that are participating. And they come and do employer panels with them. Avera has them come and do virtual dementia tour. Boulder Estates are having them come and do on-site training with their clients, and they're also training them more in communication with dementia. Also, another critical piece is the equipment we have. We wouldn't have any equipment without our employers helping provide that to us. So it's just been a really neat ride. The thing that makes this even more possible is we are doing a lot of graded funding. The youth are coming out of the general public school funds. Our adults are either supported through grants, those Pathway to Prosperity grants. They also are supported, this class, the adults are being supported through the Marshall ABE program dollars as a cash match to our grant. We use dislocated worker funds, we use private pay, we use just a tremendous amount of different funding sources to make this possible. And due to the fact we have adults and youth together, the capacity to be filled in the class, which makes it more cost efficient, is greater, which we have found when we started this class in January, it was filled, and the morning class was filled. We've had a few drop out, but still, to have them both at capacity is totally an awesome thing. So those are some things to do with the partnership, but the real people you may want to ask later if we have time is some of these wonderful people sitting back here.
Thank you, Pat. And there's Linda Van Amper, the course instructor here, was mourning to me a couple minutes ago, lamenting the few students who couldn't be here today for whatever reason, because they have great stories to tell too. Tammy? Yes. Thank you for being here. As our employer in the room, I want to say that, just so you know, a week ago, there were, I think, 7 employers where you are sitting in one of those interview tips and advice and advocacy panels. So probably couldn't get away 2 weeks in a row, right? But they are there most times when she needs them, and that's just really a neat thing too.
One other thing that's been really neat that our employers have done, they have created shifts specifically that these students can apply for, short shifts, while they're going to school. And Boulder, it was the hospice. We had 2 gals that came from Egypt, went through nursing school there, and we found out, because public health explained to us, they were between a CNA and an LPN. And so hospice created 2 internships for them specifically because they needed money while they were attending classes. So the employers have just been phenomenal around here.
That's great. Thank you. A lot of information already. Let's start over here. And if you, I don't know each of the students' names, help me out, Linda, help me out, Pat. And if you feel comfortable standing, that's wonderful because your voice will project better. If you really prefer not to stand, we'll accommodate that too. So go ahead. Hi, tell us your name and.
Irania Paloma.
A little louder.
Irania Paloma.
Yep. Go ahead.
I don't know, I just feel like this is good because of the fact that people take their time out of their day to teach us when they could be doing something else. So that's what I'm really grateful.
I'm Reagan Hansen. I just like this program because it's in a good part of the day, and my work or my boss will go around my schedule to make me be able to come to this class. I like it because it's going to help me on the long run to make more money than I have in the past.
Thanks, Reagan.
I would encourage you also, is this class going to make a difference in your life? Irania?
Yes.
Why?
I don't know, because I was putting off going to college, and instead of going to college, I can do this for now and then work till I have enough money. It's saved up, at least not enough money, but enough money to get me through a year or so of college, and then go to college, and then I'll go up my career in the nursing industry.
So you think you would continue on in the
Yes.
healthcare career?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Something else that we do in this class is we have Minnesota West and SMSU come, and they explain how they will hold people's hands to do admissions, financial information, and SMSU brings in the part where they do the 2+2, where you can finish your RN with them. So they are also very good about coming in, developing relationships with the students so they have the opportunity to feel comfortable to go to someone for help.
Randy and Reagan, good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Jasmine Vasquez. This class has helped me a lot because I don't have a lot of money to pay for college to get me through medical field. So I think this is going to help me to get to my goal.
Financially, a good decision, and you're feeling good about that.
So how many hours are you working right now?
A day?
Yeah.
2.75.
Okay,
What was that?
2.75 hours a day.
okay.
2.75 hours a day. Okay.
So, and that fits with your training schedule and school schedule and everything, yeah.
Manager is very flexible with that.
Cool.
Because I work at evenings.
Okay, great.
This program is good because like it works with my school schedule and when I work, and then like working with adults makes me feel like mature a little bit more, you know,
Uh-huh.
and like, yeah.
Brooke is saying, I just want to make sure everybody hears what you said, Brooke, that it works out with her schedule well, and working with adults, she really appreciates too. And as Pat said, that's really one of the hallmarks of this program.
So do you find that you're able to learn from each other as adults and youth? Could you help me with my phone? Things like that?
It
Yeah,
works
kind of
both
like
ways.
that, good.
We did this for cost efficiencies, but both the adults and youth, as they do evaluations, have stated they think it's much better with the co-mingling of the two populations and having the separate. The kids feel like they act a little bit more mature because the adults are present and the adults appreciate the viewpoints of the youth.
That's great.
Hi, my name is Brittany Ann, and I think this has been an amazing opportunity for me. I'm 21 years old and I have a 4-year-old daughter. So not only does
Brittany,
this benefit
just a little
me,
louder.
Oh.
Thank you.
Not only does this benefit me, but it benefits her. So it's been a good opportunity. Also, we have good teacher, Linda, and be able to guide us along, and it's been a good opportunity.
Great.
So is your daughter able to do the on-site childcare, or is that
My
a
daughter
different?
goes to daycare because I work during the morning,
Okay.
so that works out too. Because it's during the day and I can drop her off at daycare.
Excellent.
David Black. This is kind of a first for me. I've been homeschooled my entire life up to this point. And the first semester we only had one adult in our class. And the second semester, I think now we have 3. And there is a very noticeable change in the respect shown to the teachers and the interruptions in general. I'd say 75% easily decrease in the use of phones during class, which I very much appreciate. The difference, I was saying before, the difference between just the few years between where I am, I'm 16, I think the oldest student in our class is 22 or something like that. The difference is just phenomenal on the way we view things. So it's been a golden opportunity for me. It's been a lifelong dream of mine to do metalworking stuff, and this was just like handed to me on a silver platter. It's been fabulous.
So David, what do you envision for, after you finish the program and after school? Do you want to work in a manufacturing setting? Do you want to start a business? What would you envision for yourself?
I have no idea. I would like to get a job then this coming summer with probably in manufacturing. I know a guy who runs kind of a small metal fabricating business that I'm going to see if I can get in with him. But I don't really know about the future in general. I know I'm going to use it for sure, but I couldn't pinpoint to tell you where I was going to be. So.
Okay, great, thanks.
Now, I have a question because I don't know this. Do your classes happen in this building too?
No. Yeah.
Your welding.
Welding, yes. Just down the hall. The rest of them, no.
My name is Noe Verdeen. I'm part of the welding class. I really enjoyed doing this class because it's teaching me a lot of things, a lot of lifelong skills that I'll be able to take on jobs, things at home, hobbies, all that. Right now I'm going through Minnesota West. I started 3AV with Pat, and she helped me a lot throughout the years, a lot. And I'll hopefully be getting my diploma next year over in the Jackson campus. And I plan at the end of this year to already start working as soon as I get my certificate. Just hopefully everything works out, and really grateful for everything.
Now, these guys will have 16 college credits by the time they get done this year. And like Noe said, he's transferring to Jackson to work more on finishing his degree. He's an individual who is making use of Pell Grants to be able to pay for his tuition here.
Thank you.
My name is Desiree Ramirez, and I find this class very useful, and it fits in right along with my school schedule, so it's very time efficient, and it's gonna definitely be in the long run. It is. And I plan to go into the medical field already, but CNA is gonna help me start once I get out of school, and it's gonna help me find a job right away, you know. And the teachers here are very helpful as well. And Linda does a very good job at making sure you're understanding your skills and what you need to know in order to succeed in this. And I find that very helpful, and I'm grateful for her and to be able to guide us through everything that they're doing. And I plan on fulfilling this, and once after I get my CNA, I do plan on stepping up in the ladder to LPN, RN, and as far as I can go. I'm very grateful for this class.
Maybe mention here too, this model is different than, Linda does the Minnesota West part, but adult education comes in and provides additional support to all the students. So it's a model that we've used through our fast track grants. So we have brought that here and imposed, that's what we use within the CNA. So it's not just the college who's doing the instructing. There's also a support person who's helping the students in case anyone's struggling. And when ABE helps them, it doesn't make any difference if it's a high school person or if it's an adult. We're there to help anyone in any fashion so they can make sure they pass.
The question I would have is, how helpful do you find that kind of a holistic approach to learning, not only the technical skills that you learn, but the other supports that you get? Do those make a difference to you in your success?
I feel like it does. The way that they teach us, all of them, it's kind of like there's no way you can fail.
Can I add something to that?
Yeah.
Through ABE, we've learned how to make resumes and cover letters and what not to do at an interview, or call back on the phone if you can't make it and stuff like that. So I think it's very necessary what we've been learning for.
They really set you up for success.
Okay.
But now that isn't ABE, they just hear me talking all the time, so they think everything's ABE. That is the piece of workforce that's coming in.
Yep.
To be able to help them. And I think, Diana, your question would be well posed to Tammy. The employees that you get out of our program, how do they differ from someone who just got their CNA?
Well, the one thing that we've, in talking with ABE and such, we have an open communication about what we're seeing when students come out of, whether it's the vocational school or out of here, what is missing? What part do we find that they are saying to us, oh, well, we didn't learn that in our class. And through this program, we have more opportunity, like they're coming, spending a couple days at one of my facilities in our dementia unit, because that was a piece that was missing in the training and is a growing need and takes special training to be able to help those with dementia. So that we've gotten the opportunity to do that, and kind of having a little bit more in the molding process of what is going to be needed in the future with the nursing assistants.
Now, and you caught Tammy, she talked about dementia unit, but why don't you just go ahead again, and I think Pat had mentioned Boulder Estates, a little bit more about your facility and your role, Tammy.
Okay. My role is Director of Home Care and at Boulder Estates, which is an assisted living and independent living, and Boulder Creek is our memory care unit. And Boulder Creek's been open about 1.5 years, and it's kind of a new venture even in town. It used to be that the nursing homes just would have all sorts of diagnosis of people, and now it's getting where they're needing to have more specialized areas just to focus on those with dementia. So that's why the approach, the way that the students are taught to interact with someone with dementia is going to be different than someone who has a heart condition and nothing related to it, like a brain illness. So.
One of our employers has done a recommendation that if anybody completes this, they can put it with their application that says these are the best people he's hired, is because of the holistic approach. And Tammy, not only does she provide bringing people out to our facility and being on an employer panel, this year she provided a teacher. The gal sitting right next to her, Stella, became one of our teachers. So they have been invaluable.
Got a few more students, time's looking good. I just have to answer, don't you want to know a little bit more about that statement? They won't allow us to fail. Tell us more about that, whether it's the instructors or the students. Is there an example?
Is it mentoring? How many
Well, what
mentors
makes that
do you
work?
have?
I think like not just not the teachers help us, but me myself, I've had a lot of people help me get into this class and help me prepare and make sure I have everything done. Like Pat, Ariane, they kept helping me make sure I have everything done for this class. But I feel like not just the teachers, but the students as well help each other, so we all can succeed and go on up the ladder and further our education.
Starting out on the right foot,
Yeah.
sounds to me. Yeah. Thank you. Regan. Yuma.
Hi, my name is Yuma Ismail. I'm a senior at Marshall Senior High School. The reason why I took this class was because CNA, I know it's not an easy job, and it's a pathway for anybody that's looking to further their career, whether it's in healthcare or anywhere else. And I aspire to be a physician assistant one day, so that's one of the reasons why I took this job, and this class. Also, the whole thing about adults and students working together, I don't really see a problem with it. If one of us is gone for like an activity such as speech or knowledge bowl or something, one of the adults can help us practice our skills if Linda's busy or Gail or anyone else is busy. So that's a plus in having the adults. And I'm very thankful to be taking this class and attending school in the morning.
Kieran Van Coolen, sitting right beside her. What? It's just me. It's just just share as you introduce me to Baduma. Do so with the whole group. I think that's really neat.
Well, Paduma's on our school board. She's our student rep on our school board, and we kind of got to know her. In fact, I just gave her a little thing when she's applying for jobs. I said, you can use me for a reference. She's amazing, the things that she does. And I'm sure all these students are. It's so neat to hear from her what's going on and how exciting it is. And I think it's a lot to try to, as an adult, it's hard to hold down a job and do a household. And now you're going to school as well as everything like that. So it's very neat to see what we're doing.
Excellent points. And I mean, look at what's happening here. You, I don't want to, give you sainthood or anything like that, but I do want to call out the fact that you took time out of your day to be here, to listen to her and to support her and to be a part of this forum. Look at the smiles. Thank you for your comment, Karen.
I want to piggyback on that because the Marshall Public School District and the Marshall School Board have been amazing in supporting the efforts of the groups that are involved in creating these programs here. and providing the monetary support to get the equipment for the welding program, housing it here. And it's just unbelievable the cost that's involved, but they have been 100% behind us all the way. And part of that, setting the kids up for success, Pat and I deal with two different populations, and, but the goal is the same, to have a pathway to a career and to be able to support themselves and their families within this community or wherever they go. And we've worked together to create schedules that work for both the students and the adults, and to create some variety in that schedule. And then another connecting piece is that we have community businesses, area businesses, that have then provided money and support for internships. So there are some summer internships. So when you look, we went to the community and said, okay, where's the need? And one of the greatest needs was in healthcare, and not enough people to provide healthcare services. And mechanical maintenance is the next thing that we're looking at. So what does the business need? And we've worked together to answer their need and provide them with trained employees that are ready to go out and work. But not only that, but that then have goals for themselves just beyond getting a job. What can I do with the skills that I have, and where can this take me? And so many of our kids have, or even our adults have failed sometime in the past, but they haven't given up on themselves. And then our community has come together to give them some place to continue with that grit that they have and that determination to do something for themselves. And it's right here in this community, and then they're coming back out into our community and working in our businesses. And so it's just, the dots have been connected, and this has kind of been a way for all of these businesses and community entities to come together and help the people in our community. And so it's exciting to see that.
Well,
Harry?
just to clarify, I'm here, Harry Weilage, Director of Marshall Community Services, but our EDA director is not here today. But just to clarify those apprenticeships, we go out and we speak to the industries in town and we talk to them about workforce. And that's their money and city money that's going into those apprenticeships and internships. So when you start talking about legislative, it's not a grant, it's not looking for someone else to take care of our issues, it's this community right here, but the education process and making the value of our local school system to our businesses, that's a trend that's not going away. That's going to continue to grow over the next 10 years. So it's critically important that it's our money, there's skin in the game for these students to do well in our community. And after all is said, what student isn't interested in coming back to a community that invests in that student? We've made that a real deal.
I was going to ask, and why is that an important point? Ta-da.
In rural Minnesota, it's a life or death situation to the community and to the businesses. And unless we have an educated workforce, those businesses go away. So when we talk to our voters and our community citizens, those keep taxes down. And so that whole cycle reinvents itself, and it's a sustainable future.
Who's next?
Hi, my name is Mr. Ahmed. I'm really glad I had this opportunity to be joined at CNA. If you asked me last year what was I going to do, I would not tell you, because I was in Arizona, like I didn't know what to do. And my sister was taking a nursing class, and she had to pay like 10 grand. My mom was a single mom. She didn't have that opportunity. But now that I moved to Marshall, it's more like, take this class, we can help you to do anything that you can. I'm really glad I switched ones. It's really, if you ask me right now, I'm going to be like, I want to be a nurse, I want to help people. I want to come back to Marshall one day when I'm a great person and help everybody. And I'm really glad that Pat and Gail and Linda push us so hard, because they know that they're going to give us somebody's life in our hands, and I have to take care of that.
Hi, my name is Najma. I am great.
A little louder, please.
Hi, my name is Najma. I am grateful to have this opportunity because I know it's going to change my life. It's going to make good friends, and I'm grateful to have such great teachers. giving us this opportunity
I would say too here that the public school and the agencies around here are investing in this to be able to get them the 3 college credits for CNA or the 16 college credits in the welding program. But the really neat thing is our employers we support them here. We give them to the employers, then the employers support them and help them move forward. So it's really, really providing a lot of support to you folks to be able to be successful. Because who is responsible for your success?
You are.
That's right, and what do you all have to do? Okay.
You know, those of you in the back of the room, I just want to share because you couldn't see the big smiles on those faces. There was some real joy there. Great, great job. All of you. Did we hear from everyone? These are just your initial comments. Now you can really share with us some of the details. Anything you forgot to say or want to bring out? What more
I guess
do we want
I
to
would
know?
be curious to know, what would things be like for you if this organization wasn't here, if you weren't able to have these classes or have time away from school? What kind of jobs or opportunities do you think would be there for you right now?
I think I would be working at parties where I used to work, and I just didn't like the fast food business because it was really stressful, people not showing up for work, and people don't show up where I work now, but then they take it out on the other people that do work, and I feel like if someone doesn't show up for their job, you shouldn't take it out on the other co-workers because then they're going to be angry and then they're going to take it out on the customers. So I like this because I don't have to deal with the fast food business, and I like helping people. Without this program, I think I would have a lot more stress in my life.
I know I would be struggling. Like right now I work at RAM and I only get 12 hours a week. So it's kind of hard to live off of that. And I'm hoping once I get my CNA, I can start doing CNA work and more hours.
I don't really have a job besides taking care of my 3 younger siblings, and so I've been waiting for a moment to have a real meaningful job, and I think that CNAs are very meaningful. They're dedicated to taking care of people, and that's one of the reasons why I want to do CNA.
David?
As far as welding, I worked for the Schwann's ice cream plant this last summer, and 12-hour shifts of putting ice cream from little boxes into bigger boxes just really wasn't for me. It just really wasn't.
So how many?
What would you be doing?
I'd be going to work and then around 8 o'clock, I'd just be thinking to myself, this is it. It's the rest of my life.
What was that? I'd be going to work and
Just be thinking, this is it.
just be thinking this is it
This is the rest of my life. This is
for the
me
rest
right
of my
here.
life.
So Noe, what are you hoping? It sounds like you've already got a path to go down to Jackson and finish up. What would you like to have happen after you finish the program at Jackson?
Well, I'd like to get a job in welding, doing something just to build up experience, and it's good pay, so I can establish myself. Later on, buy a home. But what I really want to do is I want to travel. I want to, be able to find a job wherever I go, have a skill that I know I'm good at. Eventually I want to get into underwater welding and just do everything, just learn everything, be everywhere.
Sounds like a great plan.
So how many students are in the CNA class right now, and how many are in the welding?
How many students do you have in that
We have,
afternoon?
in the afternoon, are, 9 students, and 3 of you are adults, right?
3 adults, 6 youth, and in the afternoon class, you have 5 youth and, right? More than 5?
Yeah,
One's 5 and 13 and
1,
adults.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 4 adults.
4 adults. And how many youth? 6?
And there's a morning CNA class as well.
Yes, and then there's a morning CNA class.
With several adults.
Altogether, there are 14 in the afternoon and 13 in the evening.
And that's a capacity that can only serve 15. So we are doing very
That's
well
great.
at having that high a number.
So at the end of the year, or
Mhm.
they'll have their certificate, their CNA certificate.
They will, because they all will pass,
Absolutely.
right?
Yep, yep.
You know, one of the things that came out last week in the employer panel was another benefit, and this came from a student's story, that the interaction and learning from each other with other cultures was clearly a benefit and just delightful in the way that it's practical and you build relationships and understanding, just being elbow to elbow, side by side, and following a career path and learning together. In fact, Pat, there was one of your instructors had a specific story. I'm not going to remember it totally now, and Gail talked about how there was just an event where I understand why that happens now, and thank you for doing that, and just interaction between students.
Normally, our classes have probably 80% minority in them. So there's a lot of blending of cultures as well as the youth adult component.
So we have a few minutes left, and Representative Schumacher, I will tell you, I want to give you the last word here in a few minutes to tell us more about your work on behalf of programs like this and on behalf of our workforce challenges, our rural challenges, and anything the Initiative Foundation wants to add. In the meantime, again, our partners that have joined us today, go ahead and, I think we all know who each other is, but maybe not, and I don't want to assume that. Just talk a little bit, bring out anything that you haven't heard brought out, and certainly identify yourselves. Dr. Wood.
Yeah, I'm Ron Wood. I've been in higher ed for too long to talk about, but I've seen technical education change since 1972 when I first went to work at the 2-year school, and it hasn't been for the good. That's sad to say, but I'll use my Minnesota experience, which is since 1998. And what I've seen here in this state is when we moved to having all these technical colleges, we found that quickly the money dried up and school districts could no longer afford to do everything. Slowly the separation came where youth never had that opportunity then to even know what welding was in most instances, to know what robotics was. We saw auto body shops closing in schools. We still see some things in the rural area with ag. What's so beautiful about this program is maybe we can have a resurgence. Maybe we can start finding out that high school kids, there's no stigma to being in a skilled program and a technical program. Every adult wants their kid to get a 4-year degree and have a PhD like me. Well, that's not the case. We think we need to really go back to looking at how we're funding technical education, because it's expensive today. It isn't cheap. And what I'm so pleased is how many employers are sitting and helping, because that's the only way that we were able to survive. The program at Jackson is really being survived because of a company. As I understand it, with the welding, it's because they got a company that came in and really helped. So I think it's important for the legislature to look at how do we get technical education back down, push it back down where it should have stayed, which is in 11th and 12th grade, maybe even more. Go back and have somebody read the original Perkins Act and look at the career paths that were supposed to be created. I can remember in the 80s as a mid-level administrator developing all the career paths in the 80s. I was very fortunate in Maryland We had a high school locate their technical program, their technical vocational school, right on our campus. So we flip-flopped and trade, and we did all this, and then it slowly disappeared. And we have to remember, skills, we're always going to need skills. They may be more technical in nature. We talked about welding. It's different today than it was 30 years ago. Dramatically different. So this is what we need to have come out of the legislature. Now I'm making a pitch to you, especially since you're down in my area in Worthington, and you know, I know you come right to that line, but we need to look at money coming into technical education, programs like this. I mean, we're very fortunate to have the Southwest Initiative, to have Bremer, to have Blandon, to have these kinds, but they're not always going to fill the whole bill. That would be my pitch. If 40 plus years of higher ed and being in this field has anything to say.
Thank you, Doctor. Good to see you here. Harry, we heard from you, Michelle, other folks. Tom.
I'll just follow up on Ron's comment. I'm Tom Hoff. I work for the Southwest and West Central Service Co-op, and we serve 18 county region, about 60 or 70 schools. And I mean, Ron, I just echo your comments. I've been in education for over 20 years and have seen career and technical education on a steady nosedive. I do feel like the conversations we've been having, I think we're bottomed out right now in terms of our delivering career and technical education at the high school level. I think there is an interest in having a resurgence, and in some states, career and technical education has been on the rise for the last 10 or 15 years. It's been increasing at the high school level, so we know it can be done, but there does have to be maybe a more permanent structure put in place into how we're going to fund it and manage it, and I think the growth has to be intentional. We can't always just count on business and industry coming forward and putting money toward it while we appreciate it. I hope we really think hard about what the long-term solutions are for growing career and technical education.
Don't you think that I hate to use South Dakota as an example, I know that's taboo, but don't you think the South Dakota scholarship program for technical education?
I think South Dakota scholarship program is important, and Minnesota is experimenting with that a little bit right now, I'm happy to see. But we know that even if current technical education is of interest to students, and we know we just finished a poll of students and there's an incredible interest in career and technical education, there are very few career and technical educators out there to hire, and our small school districts cannot support the programs they used to in the past. And so as an organization, we're particularly interested in collaboration. And you know, Pat talked about the collaboration between adults, the adult programs and agencies to serve this, but we really would like to see some incentives put into place for high schools and colleges to collaborate more.
And along with that, some flexibility in the licensing area for teachers and instructors, because the requirements from the state of Minnesota are very rigid, and understandably so, but at the same time, we have an immediate need. We need to service that need, and we have people willing to do that, but are not able to meet the requirements that are set. And so sometimes the best person to teach welding is a community expert and not a classroom teacher. And we need to be able to bring that person into our school and have them share their expertise. And so whatever legislators can do to help with that and help make that a flexible and workable system for our school districts, the more students and community members we can serve.
I would second that licensure. It's been a block to what we're doing here from the get-go, and South Dakota is kicking us. It's amazing the programs that they have, and I wouldn't disagree with anything that's been said, but I think you'd also find that our businesses and industries are as ready for this conversation as they've ever been. So let's not lose that opportunity, because we know this. If you have skin in the game, you're going to make sure it's successful. And when you have a partnership that has that financing and dollars invested, it's going to be successful.
Juanita Lawrenson, I'm director with the Southwest Minnesota Private Industry Council and the Workforce Council. Just first of all, I want to thank those of you at the table who took the time to be here and to share your comments and your feedback. You're all very impressive, and we appreciate hearing the successes you're having and the opportunities ahead for you. So continue on that path. It's a great one. I just want to reiterate comments in respect to the partnership that have been shared. It definitely takes, as they always say, a whole community to grow where we're headed. And the partnership that we have here in Southwest Minnesota between all of the organizations in this room as well as others, including business, is critical. And the work that the PIC and the Workforce Council do, keep that in the forefront of our minds on a regular basis. Sometimes certain partners are more visible than others, but that's okay, and that's what it's all about. A partnership takes balance. And I believe the partnership that's been developed here in Southwest Minnesota, not just in Marshall, but across our entire 14 counties, is evident in the work that all of us are touched with each and every day. And the successes we see coming out of those partnerships is the rewarding part for the staff who get to work directly with the students regularly. I don't have that honor all the time, which sometimes it feels like I'm a little bit jilted because I don't have that interaction. It's great when we do have that opportunity. So I just want to reinforce that critical aspect of partnership, not only bringing the people together, also bringing the financial resources to braid funds to make what's happening here actually a positive outcome. So I want to extend that thanks and also put that in the minds of Representative Schumacher and others that it takes many to make what happens happen. So thanks to everybody for that.
I know we briefly mentioned it several times, Minnesota West, but I can't stress enough the partnership and the flexibility that they've provided the instructors, the work they've done to make these programs successful in our school. And even though our school district has funded most of the students, the high school age students, they've been willing to accommodate the scheduling that we needed for those high school age students, and then the flexing that to accommodate adults as well. And so we need to give them a big thank you in their partnership and in their involvement in this.
So there's a lot of well-spoken comments, collegial words there, but they're backed up with actions and partnerships, and it's evidenced in the room today. Going forward, taking the ideas and trying them out and putting them into action. Gentleman in the corner, anybody? And then we'll turn it over to Joe, but Bruce, please.
What I'd like to say, and I'm Bruce Lamprecht, Director of Business Services for Marshall Public Schools, really is the collaboration and the partnerships that we've been able to mold here. This has been a tough job to put a program like this together, and it's taken a lot of work and a lot of give and take, and now I think we're to the point where what can we do to work to replicate this, to move this forward, so it's not just happening here, but that there's those kind of opportunities all over the state of Minnesota. That's why you're here, Representative Schumacher, to help us with that.
And I would also mention that as you're talking about vocational school and pushing it down, I hope that within whatever model comes out of here, that it isn't just youth or just adults, again, because we need to serve the whole community, and I think this program that we have here shows very well that both adults and youth work very well together, which is serving the entire community. And for your information too, this good-looking gentleman right here, who has nothing to do
Seems to make it passes at me.
Anyway, he is here because he graciously accepted the job of trying to put together a paper, trying to describe what is present here to make it a possibility of replicating it some other place. So there is hope of putting something together to share with others if they would so choose to try and replicate this.
All right, well, thank you, starting out for making the time today to come and visit with us and give us your perspective. It's always helpful for me when I can actually put faces to the stories that we are dealing with and the decisions that we make. It's always easier and more difficult to make decisions when you have faces to put with them. And so I think that for those of you, sorry welding guys, I don't know much about welding, but I've been focusing on the healthcare side of things in my 5 or 6 years in the legislature and working on some of the workforce development for healthcare and that sort of thing. I can tell you that there really is no more exciting time than right now to be getting into the healthcare field, to be starting out as CNAs. Even if that's as far as you want to go in life, that's great, because your classes could be 10 times the size of what they are now, and we still wouldn't have enough CNAs to provide the amount of care that's going to be needed in this country for the next generation. And so as far as recession-proof jobs go, you're in a pretty good field for that. We've also, from the state level, I've recognized that when people get into CNA-type jobs, these entry-level type caregiving jobs, that there are career paths for people now, and you all are helping with that in bigger ways than even the state does, but we're trying to catch up with what the locals are doing for that and help with that effort to make careers out of these things. So if you want to become an RN, or if you want to become an LPN or a physician's assistant or a doctor, that there are paths for that to happen because of your work starting here. And so I'm very excited for you. It's work that I couldn't do personally myself. It wouldn't happen for me. I just don't have that type of personality to be able to give like you all are willing to give. And so thank you for being willing to do that. Of course, the conversation isn't only just on the healthcare aspect of things, even though that's where we're putting a lot of our efforts at the state level. We're trying to do a little bit more for reimbursements, trying to recognize what's worked here and trying to expand that to other parts of the state as well. And I've been working with Pat and others on trying to get language to go move forward this year that will help with that aspect to make these classes a little bit easier. But we've heard the larger conversation too today about how I've always focused in the one area, but we do have much more to do in all of these areas. And as long as it's not state-driven and state-led, I think we'll be okay. It's one of those things where you guys have a model here that's working. You just need a little bit of help, or you have something that's working, but you just need a couple of roadblocks taken down, such as the licensure issue for the classrooms, and let the people who actually know what they're doing be the teachers. And so those are areas that the state can be helpful in when it wants to be helpful in those areas. And I think that that's the route we need to go. And I'm glad to hear that you guys are working on putting together models of what's working and how you would like to see that improved and brought across the state. I'm really glad it's you, Dr. Wood, that's working on that. That's exciting for us to be able to bring forward too, and have a local homegrown person that's, well, home-ish grown person that's working on this with us. And so I would just thank you again for your time today and offer an open door to anyone who has ideas on how we can expand this, and those little things that we can do right now to take down some of those barriers, as well as some of the bigger things that we should be looking at. We have an opportunity now. I think, as was mentioned before, the business community is ready for this conversation, and in ways that they haven't been and likely won't be again for some time. So we have an opportunity now to really get to the crux of this matter. And when we're looking at our economy overall and what we'll need to be able to create jobs so we can have strong families and continue in our communities, these are the conversations we need to have. So thank you, and good luck with the rest of your day.
Diana, Nancy? Thank you, Representative.
I just I have to tell you how inspired I am by your stories, each one of them. As we work in communities across Southwest Minnesota, what we really want to do is create communities that work for everyone, so that there are opportunities for absolutely every person who wants to live and work and create a life in Southwest Minnesota. So to hear that that is what you are doing, that you are getting training now that's going to help you now and also set you up for success. Noe, I understand that you want to travel, I get it, but I hope someday you'll consider coming back to Southwest Minnesota and making it home for good when you finally want to put down roots, because that's, our population is stable. It's going to stay stable over the next 20 years. And so that means we have to invest in every single person that lives here in order to be successful and create an economy and communities that work for everyone. So you're part of that, and it's really exciting and inspiring. So good luck to you.
As we wind up, I would just say again, thank you so much to the students and all of you who prepared them for being here. Thank you for staying on an extra few minutes. And I would also suggest that something else you could put on your resume or your list of accomplishments for this class is what you did today. And that's participate in a dialogue with public officials and a regional funder on behalf of your future and those who will come after you. Congratulations.
I would like to really quick before you all leave, I think from what I've heard that I can safely speak on behalf of everyone who's in the program. I would like to say thank you for all of you who have made the program possible. I'm not sure who that is. I know that Mrs. Noriega has and you have, and I couldn't, if you all stood in the line, I couldn't point out who it was who made this possible for us, but I think that we would all like to say thank you for making it possible for us.
Thank you, David.
I just want to reiterate that the partnerships of the technical schools, Minnesota West, PIC, Adult Basic Ed, the Marshall Public School District, all of the partnerships and the effort and the work that has gone beforehand, people coming together to make these programs successful in the school, not only for public school students, but we have homeschool students, we have high school students, we have our alternative school students, we have adults in the community. All are taking advantage of this. And the key point that we want all communities to know and all legislatures to know is that this is replicable, but it needs to be sustainable. And so we have businesses that need the employees, we have companies that need the employees, we're creating that employee base, and the big thing is we want to keep that base here in our community. And the way to do that is to provide them with the training and the support, not only while they're getting their education, but then once they're in the businesses. And that's what we're doing here in Marshall. And hopefully legislatures will help make that process simpler. For example, we have Minnesota West instructors who can teach adults at Minnesota West campuses, but they cannot qualify to teach in a public school. And so if our legislatures can make that process easier, that would be great. We have companies and businesses willing to support and fund what we're doing, our efforts. We have the public school funding a great majority of that, grants that are helping to fund that, but if we can have systems in place that make this a sustainable, a continuous, and a permanent process where we keep training our community members to stay in our community, sustain our community, and help our community grow. And so right now we've started that process. If you as legislatures can help make that continue, take away the roadblocks, and make that possible, it's a win-win-win for everybody involved.